up in my head. Them baggy sweatpants with them. Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is Jatan with All Things Jatan, and today is Iron Infusion Day. This is a day that I go and spend just about 2 hours getting iron infusions. This is my third round. Let me just add that in there. And I just wanted to come on here and give some more of my story and my testimony, because anemia is very common. A lot of people battle with having anemia. And I know for me, I'm going to speak, all this video is speaking for myself and my perspective. I know for me, I didn't take it as serious because my healthcare providers didn't take it as serious. I remember just living in Delaware and them saying, oh, you know, some people just have low iron, low blood, no whoop-de-doo, nothing like that. It wasn't until I moved here in Georgia and I literally passed out and found myself on the floor and went to the doctors, and because these doctors were not familiar with me, didn't know my background or anything like that, the first thing they did was order all this lab work, blood work, and the doctor that I went to at like an urgent care place was like, you need to see a hematologist immediately. And I'm like, what's going on? Like, what is the problem? I'm thinking this woman is like really gassing it up. Like, you need to tone it down. I've been anemic all my life. You know what I mean? And she was like, has anybody in your family has sickle cell? Has anybody ever been diagnosed with having leukemia? So now I'm like, okay, what's she trying to say? Like, you get what I'm saying? I'm like, I knew it wasn't sickle cell, because if you know anyone that has sickle cell trait, blood, like my kids were not, those are like hereditary things. And I would have been in and out the hospital all the time. And like I said, I used to go to the doctors and I'm like, I'm tired. I eat ice like nonstop. Like, you could not tell me. I was at Chick-fil-A ordering 2 bags of ice a day, like going through ice like that or whatever. And I would always order a meal because I felt so bad about just going in the line to get ice or whatever. But that's all I wanted. I was always going there just to get ice. So $1.50 bag or order turned into darn near 20 when you got kids. But needless to say, I was told, oh, that's normal. That's normal. I really want to come on here to like pretty much tell whoever this message is for, if you've also been anemic, you notice a difference in your sleep pattern and things like that, you have to really pretty much hold these people accountable when it comes to your health. I pay insurance. I have insurance through my job. Like, it's no reason why I'm just being patted on the back like, oh, have a good day, and I'm still not feeling my best shape. Like, me being here in Georgia, I work out, I eat right, but I also started to notice that around that time of the month, I would have hormonal cravings. And I know that this is common. I know, like, a lot of women, but I would be wanting carbs galore. Like, and I eat carbs, so this was like an overload. I want sugar, I want carbs, I want all of that, okay, when it's almost that time of the month. And it would be like, I could not resist. I had to give in to the temptation of wanting those cravings. And then once I had the episode to like where I passed out and I got my blood work, it took me forever to find a hematologist, because a lot of them will not even take you without a referral from a doctor. The doctor kept saying, oh, I sent it over. And I'm like, okay, now I feel like y'all playing in my face. I feel like, what if I'm out driving with my kids? Like, it really put me in a state of fear, which I believe in God and a higher power, but I'm like, I always say, y'all, some things don't happen to you, but happen for you. So I just wanted to be on my P's and Q's, because I didn't want to be out and about and something happened to me while I'm with my kids. I didn't want them to be in a car and I put us all at danger because I don't know why I pass out or whatever. So I ended up finding a hematologist. The moment that the doctor came in the room, she was just like, well, it's not cancer, because she knew. And I'm sorry to laugh, but she knew how on edge, because I had been going back and forth with this particular doctor office for the long time. So she knew what my primary concern was. I wasn't even concerned with the fact that my iron and my blood was low. Because it was something that I've always been told. So it was a new information that this doctor was throwing at me that had me feeling like, oh snap, like what's going on? You get what I'm saying? Like a lot of things that I do is for the sake of my kids. Me wanting to get healthier was for the sake of my kids. Like I want to be around for a long time, God willing. You know what I mean? What J. Cole said, the only thing that gets us is old age. Like I'm on that type time. You get what I'm saying? So with that being said, she was like, but your iron and everything is very low. So what we're going to do is order you to have iron infusions. So I'm like, they got infusions for iron? Like, so you mean to tell me I could have been doing this all the time or whatever? So she was like, I just want to let you know yours is very low. So you may have to go through multiple rounds in order for it to even make a difference. Okay. So that was in May. No, that was in April. And then in May is when I first started my iron infusions. I was going every Tuesday in the middle of my work day, having to get back to work. And I didn't know what the process was. And I would have to wait for the prescription, the iron prescription, to get delivered from the pharmacy. And then once it got there, it would be like a IV bag about this big. And I'm going to take y'all along with me. I don't want to really invade anybody's privacy, but I'm going to show you like my setup and all that. And it's going to be a little bit undercover. So just bear with me, okay? But the iron bag would be about this big. And I would have to wait. And when I tell y'all, I be looking, you know, like when you are observing something and you like, oh, this is going to take all long. Like it's literally one drop at a time of this iron going into an IV. And another thing that I have a hard time with is them like finding the vein. Like I'm like drinking water. The lady was like, she heard that if you eat Mexican food or Chinese food, something with a high salt content, that you're better off that way or whatever. So it would take me forever for them to even just find a vein for me. So that was that. Like they offer you snacks, stuff like that. It is not cold, but because your body and everything is at room temperature and it's like this liquid going into your body, you do feel like a little bit cold while it's being done. But that first iron infusion, mind you, I was going every Tuesday. That first iron infusion ended my ice game, okay? Like, I have 2 ice machines in my house, and it had to be that soft, bullet-shaped ice or whatever. And when I tell y'all, it was over. Like, I didn't crave ice anymore. And I started to, like, feel better. I was shocked. So, like, you could not have told me that I'm just going to wake up one day and just be turned off of ice. Like, this has been a year long. Like, I used to have a note. In Delaware, I had a note because I used to get on my coworkers' nerves from just sitting there eating ice. They would complain about it. And I'm like, yo, if I could stop this, I would. But I can't. Like, so I then had to go back in July, and I had to not go back for the iron infusions. I had to go to LabCorp, and I had to get labs drawn because they wanted to see how my body reacted to the iron. I didn't have any side effects, like none of that. Like they usually say that if there is any side effects, you would feel it right then and there, and I didn't, thank God. So when I went in July, my blood work comes back immediately. I'm feeling like by the time I get back to my house, the information is already uploaded on my chart. And I'm looking at the numbers and I'm like, okay, it's a little, they give you like a chart and it's like a little slight incline or whatever. It's not going down, but it's like a little slight incline. But it's nowhere in a category or threshold that it needs to be. So in end of August throughout September is when I had to start my second round of iron infusions. Okay. My last appointment that ended up being in September for that particular round, the office was full. And I'm like, well, Dawn, what's going on in here today? Because it's some people in there for like cancer treatments, It's people in there for different things. So it was very busy and packed. And all I remember was the lady coming out in the lobby where I was sitting and waiting, and her just saying, "Hey, Miss Foster, we're going to take you back. She's not cutting the line, everybody. We have somebody here for her. So we got to get her back while we have this person here." So I'm like, what they got going on? And this is my last one. So I'm definitely like, what is going on for this to be my last appointment? And y'all had to bring out the big dogs or whatever. So the lady actually had an ultrasound machine, and she was like, sometimes we use this. I heard how bad your veins are, so forth and so on. So I wanted to be here to, y'all, my daughter got an orthodontist appointment. Hold on, y'all. Okay. Yeah. So when I got taken back, there was a lady there. They already had my medicine and everything, because sometimes I gotta wait for them to, like I said, come from the pharmacy, so forth and so on. And there was a lady there, and she was using like a ultrasound machine to like find a good vein. So she stuck me twice on this side, and she was like, "Listen, if I can't get it again somewhere else, then I'm just gonna quit." And I'm like, "No, you can't quit." Like, and anybody that knows me, even on the days of these appointments, I have high anxiety because I do not like needles, and they use the tiny baby IVs in order to do your iron infusions. But I trip out because I don't like you to be rolling the needle. I don't like none of that. Like, okay. So with that being said, she was like, if I can't, and I'm like, "No, you have to. This is my last appointment. If you can't get it today, then that means that I'm gonna have to be scheduled to come back another day. Like, you have to get it." Luckily, on the other arm, she got it. And for some reason, mind you, this is my second round of iron infusions that I'm referring to. For some reason, I just felt like, not at that moment, but the next day, like a burst of energy. And I remember when I went back and I started at the beginning of August, them saying like, "Hey, have you noticed any change in your energy?" So forth. And I'm like, "No, like," but it could be because now my kids are back home from the summer. Like, they're back home. I'm having to rip and run a little bit more. Maybe it's because of that. But no, like, I felt an actual difference in like my energy. This is when I was getting up 4 o'clock in the morning, trying to do my workout routine, things of that nature. And it was carrying me all throughout the day. So some things that led me to know for the second round of iron infusions, right before I went to the lab, and I'm sorry if my story is all over the place. I want to make sure that I add in everything that needs to be told. But this, right before I started my second round of iron infusion, I had started craving ice again, y'all. Mind you, I said that first iron infusion appointment that I ever had back in May took that cravings away. And I was like, it must didn't take, like, that was my first sign. So once that happened and I started to feel the energy and everything from like my second round of iron infusions, this time around when I went in October to get my lab work done to see how my body reacted, it is showing that I'm able to absorb iron, that, all things of that nature. And I also had a yearly appointment with OB, and this was a one that I had finally made as like my primary. And I started doing more research because I'm like, what did Delaware miss? Like, what did these doctors miss? And why are these doctors here now in Georgia more interested and more concerned about my iron levels and things like that? And I'm grateful because, like I said, like, I've never passed out. So I'm like, darn, my thing must be low. I don't know why that song just popped up in my head. Them baggy sweatpants with them Reeboks. However the words go. But low. Okay. Stay on track. But, yes. So I started feeling back tired. And I'm like, okay. I started doing my research. And it said that a lot of people could be anemic if there's like a gastro, like an intestine type problem. So my hematologist referred me to like a gastro doctor. They had a prescription written up for me to do like a colonoscopy, do all these types of labs internally. Then I saw, this is what when I started like clicking, like the wheels on the bus started moving when I saw this. If you have heavy menstrual cycles, Mind you, I go to the doctors yearly for everything. I get checked out all the time, okay? And I'm like, that's it. That's it. It has to be because of my cycles, because I would have very heavy clotting. And these are all things that I have expressed and told my doctors, because then they say, oh, you shouldn't be having clots and da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, okay, so what, I'm the exception to the rule? Like, why isn't nobody caring and concerned? So when I went to this doctor here in October, they did an internal ultrasound. And she was like, have you ever heard that you've had fibroids? And I'm like, no. She was like, nobody's ever told you had fibroids. And I'm like, no. It's particular people in my community that I call whenever I leave the doctor's appointment. I call my mom, I call my good friend Beach, I call my friend Amber, I call all people, because these are people that know what I've had to endure. And I just remember being back in Delaware and getting my tubes tied after my second daughter, Kason. And I told them, I'm like, yo, my cycles are way worse than what they've ever been. Oh, that's normal. When you get your tubes tied, some people have heavier than normal bleeding or whatever. You're fine. We could put you on birth control and I'm like, I'm the Virgin Mary. Like, this ain't that. And at one point in time, when I was on birth control, I was getting back-to-back migraines every day, all day long. And I've already had a history of migraines. And as soon as I went to another doctor, it took me switching another doctor back in Delaware for them to say, hey, are you on any type of birth control? And I'm like, yeah. They were like, it's the hormone. As soon as she switched me, I didn't get another migraine from that day forward. Okay. So when I went and got this ultrasound done, that's when she was like, you have fibroids. I found 5, one being inside your or on attached to your uterus. That's the one that I feel as though is causing you all the problems. She was like, she gave me 4 different options. The most invasive, like when I tell you this information was just thrown at me, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know anything. The most invasive surgery was a hysterectomy. And I know I'm not having any more kids. I already mentioned the fact that I had my tubes tied. But what stuck out to me was, she was like, you're going to be put down for 4 weeks. So like, you're not even going to be able to lift a bag of groceries or whatever. And I never understood it. But then I went over there on TikTok University, and I seen people that haven't gotten hysterectomy. She was like, you won't go into early signs of menopause or anything like that, because we're going to keep your ovaries. You're still young enough to like where you should be fine. We're just going to remove the whole uterus. Education is everything, which is why I'm doing this video, okay? I saw people that were talking about their hysterectomy, and I always just heard like negative things about hysterectomies from like older community or whatever. Like, so I really didn't know. So automatically I was like, nope, I ain't doing no hysterectomy. By the time you talking, that's Christmas, my daughter's birthday, my birthday. I'm not gonna be able to walk around. I don't have family, a support system that can just stop what they doing and come down here and make sure that I'm taken care of. Like, that's out of the window. But the other options, like the myectomy or whatever, where they actually go in and use a tool to remove the fibroid, that was the one that I'm scheduled for. And the thing with that is, they say that it's a high chance of it coming back. And when I started looking up fibroids, I saw that fibroids can be caused due to a hormonal imbalance or whatever. And that they cause heavy bleeding, So I'm like, okay, well, what can cause like the hormonal changes? Your diet and your lifestyle. And I'm like, well, what more do I need to do? You get what I'm saying? I'm already on this journey. Like, and I said to me, and not to make this like a race thing, but it really started making me put my thinking cap on even sooner. Because I just feel like, I know for a while, I wasn't willing to give up the big juicy cheesesteaks. I wasn't, like, I literally had to move from Delaware and be put in an area environment to where I cooked all the time because I don't want Chick-fil-A. I don't want these chain restaurants. I don't like it's nothing different out here for me other than what I had an experience in Delaware. So I cooked. So then I started thinking about my ingredients. I used vegetable oil. I used a lot of processed foods and things of that nature. And these are all things that can cause an imbalance. So I'm like, we eliminating everything. We eliminating anything that got high fructose corn syrup. Because even some people, it might take them years to feel the effects of having things that they should not have, and things that, you know, people can go years, their whole life smoking cigarettes and not get cancer, but that could be a side effect. You know what I mean? You got some people that never get lung cancer and never smoked before. Some people that develop lung cancer and have never smoked before. So, you know what I mean? So it's just like, for me, I just wanted to do my part as far as my family, because, you know, they also say that fibroids can be hereditary. So I'm like, you know, when you go to the doctors and they're like, does anybody in your family have this? I want to be that one person that sit up there and say, it stopped with me. You get what I'm saying? Like, again, some things don't happen to you, but for you. So if I could be that one that sit up there and change my diet, my kids going to eat whatever I cook and present them. And I can cook. You get what I'm saying? So that was like a thing to me. And the first thing in my mind, you got to have a change and a shift in your mindset, because you always hear, eating clean, eating healthy is so expensive. So that's why I was like a little bit resistant at first. But guess what? I eliminated all the processed sugars and stuff like that, all the processed foods, the dairy, all that. And I'm like, oh, this wasn't bad. Guess why food in general is expensive? What I found for myself, as I said before, I'm going to speak for myself. I found that other food, the sugary foods, are more expensive. You know why? Because we busting down through them. Like, we going through them fast. Like, we're craving them. We ain't gonna go from 1.25. They used to be 25 cents. But we ain't gonna go from the little small size chip bag and be satisfied. No, we gotta go through the whole 18 pack. You get what I'm saying? Like, we ain't gonna just have one Oreo. We ain't gonna have the serving size when it comes to a lot of those things. And it's like the FDA put that on there so that you know what the appropriate serving size is. But this whole shift has even helped me on my weight loss and lifestyle journey, because you got to pay attention to them labels. You have to pay attention to the thing. I even noticed a difference in Taylor, like my 5-year-old. If she had anything that had high fructose, it could be applesauce. Baby girl already got high energy. She's bouncing off the walls. Soon as I started getting things that came from like actual fruit, they have like fruit roll-ups. I always try to share, and I'm glad that I'm doing this video so that if you're new here or you've never watched any of my videos, you know why I'm sharing certain content, because I did my research. I did my big one. You get what I'm saying? Like, I did my big one when it comes down to like my health and everything. And when I try to pinpoint like what exactly may have been impacting my hormones, I will always see stuff like, oh, there's not enough research that has been done to identify what it was, and da-da-da-da-da. But needless to say, that is why I'm going for another round. And when I went back in October to get my blood work done, my levels, once again, were trending on an upward state. But when you go years losing that much blood, it's going to take a while. And a lot of people that I've shared my testimony with behind the scene or whatever, they will be like, oh, you can't take iron. It's not going to do nothing. It's not going to do anything. Like, just talking to my hematologist and everything, they were like, we would never recommend you doing any type of iron pills and anything. And I eat steak. I eat that kind of stuff to where they say red meat, you know, is good for iron, like all of that. But my iron was so low that for me to go on a iron vitamin, it will cause upset stomach. It will cause constipation. It's going to create more issues than I'm already dealing with. So as soon as I talked to like my OB, my gynecologist, she was like, you're gonna feel so much better. You're gonna, like, it's all gonna go hand in hand. So I'm just thankful and I'm grateful, and I'm just like, I had a better reaction to going for a third time, because I'm like, I felt that glimpse of having energy. You know what I mean? Like, I was ready to do circles around my kids. I'm ready to go play all the sports you can think of, because that's the difference that it made. So now that I started feeling tired again, I'm like, okay, I should start getting back to that energy. You know, we're going to have less daylight time because daylight savings or whatever it is just happened or whatever. But needless to say, I'm going to bring you guys along. I'm going to show you like what they do for me. And I may not, like I said, for other people's privacy, I'll probably just do like a little voiceover for that portion, but stay tuned and watch the rest of the video. If you made it this far, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Share with somebody that you care about that may be going through the same things or having the same symptoms. Let's get healthy together, y'all.
Wishing I never found you. You got this thing about you, can't escape. When I run,
I did the check-in, but I didn't know you needed me to come up here for anything.
Yeah,
Fast. I think there's only one form that they all send you on that.
Okay. So I'm all checked in. They give you a heated blanket because it does typically get a little cold. They already have me hooked up to the IV, so I'm just waiting on the actual iron to arrive. So my iron has now arrived. That is it in the bag there. It's like a brown amber color solution. I am hooked up, so now I just have to wait for each drop to go through. And like I said, I felt more comfortable doing it this way. They also gave me a pillow, asked if I needed anything, and I didn't. The chairs recline. Like, you really get to get comfortable while you're at these appointments. And I'm laughing at these gentlemen that were in there talking, going back and forth. But like I said, you got to make yourself comfortable. I typically bring a book, which I forgot to bring. I'm adjusting the pillow. This is the first time that I've sat on this side of the room, but it was good. Now, I'm not sure if you guys can tell from here, but I'm just trying to show you how literally it's one drop at a time going through and what takes so long while I'm at these appointments for me to finish up or whatever. Yeah, you can see it a little bit. One drop at a time. Hey, y'all. So I am back from my iron infusion appointment. And let me just say, y'all, God is so good. Like, I feel like for myself personally, I hold myself back in a lot of ways because it's always like the fear of unknown. How's this going to impact me and my motherhood? Like, what am I going to be doing as far as different things? And I'm not going to hold you. The very first time I went and got my iron infusions done, just to take it back a little bit, and I got that first bill in the mail, that was the highest medical bill I ever had in my life. And keep in mind, I have insurance through my job. So it was just like a, goodness, like, what am I going to do? You get what I'm saying? And when I tell y'all, I would get real bad anxiety about having to go. I don't know what it was, but knowing how I had so much energy in September at that last appointment, at that last iron infusion appointment, I felt like the difference. And I felt that energy all over again today. And sorry, I just made me a cup of coffee. But when I went in there, I had already did like the online check-in. And I did, it was a $25 copayment. And I saw the balance on there. Like, if you have my chart, you're familiar. Anything that rolls up under you is going to be in my chart. And I noticed that the balance had went down. And mind you, when I went to go see my gynecologist, she was like, you know, as long as we schedule your procedure this year, it's already going to be covered. So I just had, you know how you just avoid things because ain't nothing you could do about it at that moment. Anyway, like, that was my whole aura. Now, mind you, every single doctor appointment specialist that I've seen this year has all been bunched in pertaining to my anemia. So I'm at my deductible, y'all. And when I went in this time, mind you, this is a new treatment, a new iron infusion treatment that just started today. So when I went in there today, mind you, it hasn't billed to my insurance yet. I just know, and I'm believing in God, that it's going to be a zero balance, because I have this treatment that started today that hasn't been billed yet. And I also have my procedure coming up at the end of the month that has not yet been billed yet because it hasn't happened yet. And when I tell y'all, God is just too good, because my balance went from like a little over $1,100 to $264. So even if I gotta pay y'all $5 a month, like, it's going to be what it's going to be. Like, it's no longer higher than what I thought. So it's like, I just wanted to come on here to somebody, whoever this may be for, whoever is listening, tuned in. The things you are worried about, God had already worked it out on your behalf. Just be faithful. Just be patient. Just live in your life. Don't worry about things that you cannot control, things you don't have no control over. I didn't have any control over getting iron infusions because, like I said, I knew I was going to fight. I was going to make whatever changes and adjustments that I needed within my life, my lifestyle, to be around as long as possible for my kids. And that was just some good news. They put me in a whole different aura. I did kind of punk out once I got in there. So when, from the clips, just to give you like a little backstory, I was checking in again with the lady. She was like, you know, are you going to pay your copayment? I'm like, I already did that, but it didn't show up on her end. I'm like, well, listen, I got the receipt. And she was like, you know, next time, if you do an online check-in, you don't have to pay again. Don't pay. She said, because it's going to get to the point to where they'll start sending you money back because you have met your deductible. She was like, and the thing is, it could take 6 to 8 weeks for you to get it back, which I'm not worried about. But there's the two sweetest ladies in there every time I come. I thought that they would have already had the lady that did the ultrasound at my very last appointment in September, but she was not there today. But they got me on the first stick. And it was a guy that sat right across from me. And this is why I feel like things work out on my behalf, because even when I show any sign of resistance about sharing different things, once I do, it's like God immediately comes through and like hugs me and let me know that I did what he wanted me to do. I'm trying not to get emotional, so, but this guy sat across from me and he was like, I hope you got your phone charged. And I was like, yeah, I actually do. And he was like, because it looked like you're going to be here for a minute. He was like, I'm looking at my IV and it's like going real fast. Like his was like dripping in real fast. And mine, on the other hand, was one drop at a time. Like, as y'all could see from the video, was literally one drop at a time going in to my IV or whatever. And I said, yeah, this is the normal. Like, I'm used to. You got to come prepared to these appointments. I know that there's different types of iron medicine. But what my insurance covers is going to take me about an hour and a half to empty that bag once it's put in or whatever. And he was just telling me how he was there for fluids, like basically hydration, how he was told that he only had 4 months to live, and that was 7 years ago. And I'm sorry, y'all. I really got emotional because everybody has a story and everybody's story can touch somebody. And he was just saying that he ended up there because of his wife. And you hear so many things nowadays about dating, marriages, so forth and so on, all these different politics. And it's like, if you just get out of your own way, like just get out of your own way, you just never know what God has in store for you. And he was just saying how like he was supposed to go see this one doctor, but the doctor was so busy, so popular or whatever, that she had a 4-month waiting list. So like, what are the odds? You are given 4 months to live and you finally find a doctor, but you're going to have to wait 4 months to get in with that doctor. But she had another doctor friend that was able to see him. Like, he's getting emotional telling me, which is causing me. God is just too good, y'all. Like, so good. So, like I said before, the things that we are worried about, God has already worked out in order we may deem something to be a huge situation. Is nothing that he can't do. It's nothing that he can't make happen. And he was saying that him and his wife had got married in they got married back in 1989, so forth and so on. So it was just a really touching story. And I'm sitting up here like, oh, I really didn't want to be here. I hope this is the last round. I hope I ain't in here alone. Like, worried, talking all the wrong things at this particular appointment. But I'm so glad that God shows up the way that he does. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. I hope you guys like this video. Like, follow, comment for more. Yeah, and I'll see you guys on the next one.